So welcome this morning on Martin Luther King Jr. weekend to the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Indiana, Pennsylvania. Um, I'm the Reverend Elizabeth Mount, and my worship associate and your service host this morning is Patricia Holmes. And thank you so much for being our worship leader today, Patty. Our prelude music is Enter, Rejoice, and Come In. Feel free to sing along with all your gusto and muted microphones so that we don't overlap with each other.
Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Open your ears to the song. Open your ears to the song. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Open your hearts, everyone. Open your hearts, everyone. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Don't be afraid of some change. Don't be afraid of some change. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in.
Welcome this morning.
Good morning. Welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Indiana, PA. I am Jacob Lamont, a helper from the Religious Education Department. My grandmother is in charge of the service today, and I didn't want her to have to be the only voice. On behalf of our entire congregation, I welcome you here on Zoom this morning. We are a member congregation of the Unitarian Universalist Association, a collection of self-governing congregations united in a web of mutuality that creates our denomination. We have no form of creed or doctrine, but rather teach that all individuals have both this right and responsibility to discern and follow their own spiritual path. We come together to support and assist each other on our individual journeys and in building our beloved community. I invite you to join us after service for chatting in our breakout rooms for a while. I now turn the service over to Patty Holmes, our worship associate for today. Let us worship together.
And our call to worship. Our words by Emma Goldman.
Someday, men and women will rise. They will reach the mountain peak. They will meet big and strong and free, ready to receive, to partake, and to bask in the golden rays of love. What fancy, what imagination, what poetic genius can foresee the potentialities of such a force in the life of men and women?
Our opening hymn, if you'd like to sing along, is Amazing Grace, and the words will be on your screen.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found, was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear, the hour I first believed. Through many dangers, toils, and snares, I have already come. 'Tis grace that brought me safe thus far, and grace will lead me home. When we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, we've no less days to sing God's praise than when we'd first begun.
If you have a chalice or a candle and you'd like to light its flame, you may do so now. And you might type, "The flame is lit," and where you are joining us from, whether you're lighting a physical chalice or just the light in your heart.
We light this chalice in the memory of the courage of those who have struggled for the justice and the love of those who built beloved communities to carry on the light of hope.
Our Time for All Ages is the book Speak Up. It's by Miranda Paul, and Penny Vick has some words to share with us.
Good morning. So this morning's sermon is going to be focused on Martin Luther King Jr. and his values and inspiration. And so will this story a little bit. So Martin Luther King Jr. is one of many that we look up to for inspiration and direction when it comes to making change. We reflect on his actions and his values as an activist for civil rights. Today, many of us and many young folk look to leaders of the Black Lives Matter movement, which is actually a global organization whose mission is to eradicate white supremacy and build local power to intervene in violence inflicted on Black communities by the state and vigilantes. By combating and countering acts of violence, creating space for Black imagination and innovation, and centering Black joy, Black Lives Matter movement is winning immediate improvements in Black lives. Both MLK Jr. encouraged, as well as Black Lives Matter movement, to speak up. And that's what the book I'm going to read today. It's called Speak Up by Miranda Paul. There are times we should be quiet, and there are days for letting go. But when matters seem important, speak up. Let others know. With so many ways to speak up, like a sign, a smile, a shout, if we could make things better, why not let our words out? When you're being introduced and they get your name all wrong, speak up. Say your name. You are you, and you belong. When someone spreads a rumor and you're sure it isn't true, speak up. State the facts. Truth can open our view. When a rule isn't fair or has gotten much too old, speak up. Work for change. Justice comes when we are bold. When a person wounds another with their words or with their fists, speak up. Be an ally. Safety comes when we persist. If you see someone who's lonely or they're having a bad day, speak up. Share a moment. Kindness goes a long way. When you're sad or packed with feelings and the world seems dark and gray, speak up. Ask for help. Friendship chases clouds away. When you know a scary secret about someone getting hurt, tell a grown-up. Courage sometimes means you blurt. When the group is taking one path, but you know it's not that way. Speak up. Change directions. Leaders don't always obey. While some people speak up loudly, and your words might whisper quiet, one voice can make a difference. So don't hesitate. Go try it. So I hope today when we talk about or think about Martin Luther King Jr. in the next couple of days and today, maybe after this service, that we think about also Black Lives Matter and the movement that's happening now. And for us to remember, as you use, to speak up.
Our musical response is a beautiful arrangement of Lift Every Voice and Sing. I encourage you to listen deeply to these words.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies.
Let it.
Let it resound.
Let it resound.
Loud as the rolling sea.
I like this part right here. Come on.
Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. They sing the rising sun of a new day begun. Let us march on.
Let us march on.
Till victory is won.
Now we add a little something to it. Just to encourage you. We're going to take you to church right now. Let's go.
We'll keep marching, fighting till the victory is won.
To all my brothers out there.
Hold your head up, brothers, till the victory is won.
To all my sisters in the struggle.
Keep believing, sister, till the victory is won.
Till that day.
Till that day comes.
Hey.
Let us march on.
To victory.
Till victory is won. Is won.
And now, as we have been blessed by this music, let us take a moment to bless and offer our good words to one another. This is the time in our service where we greet one another by typing a short blessing in our chat. Perhaps peace be with you, or namaste, blessed be, bright blessings, shalom. Peace be with you, and blessed be. Today's centering words come from Gandhi.
Is it possible to live in peace? If someone with courage and vision can rise to lead in nonviolent action, the winter of despair can, in the twinkling of an eye, be turned into the summer of hope. It is possible to live in peace. Nonviolence is not a garment to put on and off at will. Its seat is in the heart, and it must be an inseparable part of our being. It is possible to live in peace. Nonviolence, which is a quality of the heart, cannot come by an appeal to the brain. It is a plant of slow growth, growing imperceptibly but surely. It is possible to live in peace. If a single person achieves the highest kind of love, it will be sufficient to neutralize the hate of millions. So it is possible to live in peace. If we are to reach real peace in this world, and if we are to carry on a real war against war, we shall have to begin with the children. It is possible to live in peace. The future depends on what we do in the present. So it is possible to live in peace.
And our reading today for our UU moment is one called Connections Are Made Slowly, and it's by Marge Piercy.
Connections are made slowly. Connections are made slowly. Sometimes they grow underground. You cannot tell always by looking what is happening. More than half a tree is spread out on the soil under your feet. Penetrate quietly as the earthworm that blows no trumpet. Fight persistently as the creeper that brings down the tree. Spread like the squash plant that overruns the garden. Gnaw in the dark and use the sun to make sugar. Weave real loneliness, create real nodes, and build real houses. Live a life you can endure. Make love that is loving. Keep tangling and interweaving and taking more in a thicket and bramble and wilderness to the outside. But to us interconnected with rabbit runs and burrows and layers. Live as if you like yourself, and it may happen. Reach out, keep reaching out, keep bringing in. This is how we are going to live for a long time. Not always. For every gardener knows that after the digging, after the planting, after the long season of tending and growth, the harvest comes.
Yes, it does. So at this time, let us remind ourselves of our common values that guide us from day to day.
Connection.
As Unitarian Universalists, we believe, we affirm, and promote these 7 principles. We honor the inherent worth and dignity of every person, practice justice, equity, and compassion in human relations, accept one another, and encourage spiritual growth. We support the freedom to search for what is true and right in life, ensure that all have a vote about matters which concern them, work for a peaceful, fair, and free world, and care for planet Earth, the home we share with all living things. At this time in our service, Patty Holmes will sing our centering music. And if you would like to type a joy or a sorrow of the past week into the chat bar during the music, it will be incorporated into our pastoral prayer. Give me just a moment, Miss Patty. Patty, can you unmute yourself? Should be able to.
Okay.
Perfect.
Precious Lord, take my hand, lead me on, let me stand. I am tired, I am weak, I am worn. Through the storm, through the night, lead me on to the light. Take take my hand, precious Lord, and lead me on when my way grows drear. Precious Lord, linger near when my life is almost gone. Hear my cry, hear my call, hold my hand lest I fall. Take my hand, precious Lord, and lead me home. When the darkness appears and the night draws near, and the day is past and gone. At the river I stand, guide my feet, hold my hand, take my hand, precious Lord, and lead me home. Precious Lord, take my hand, lead me on, let me stand. I am tired, I am weak, I am worn. Through the storm, through the night, lead me on to the light. Take my hand, precious Lord, and lead me home. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
At this time, I invite you into a time of prayer and meditation to take a breath as we ask, Spirit of life and of love, connector of the universe, you who binds together all that is and all that may be with us and hold us in these times of trouble, in these times when sickness continues to grow in the world, not only the sickness of the body, this pandemic, which has gone on too long, but also sickness in our minds, in our political systems, in all of us. For isolation breeds mistrust, and we need to find and foster the connections which hold us. So let us be grateful for this gathered community, which each day, each week, allows us to come back to this touch point, finding one another again, finding each other still here, still loving, still bound together and headed in the same direction. Let us take this time to hold in care Juanita and her friends who were lost, who have passed this week. for family and friends in quarantine. Ralph Miranda's granddaughter, Jordan, who is dealing with a quarantine situation. And let us also hold in care the nation itself and all in it, hoping, fearing, wondering what this coming week and the inauguration will bring. Let us simply be with one another in those feelings and understand how many different emotions there are in this country, how many people simply need connection and reassurance today. And let us hold gratitude for beautiful music, beautiful words, the joys of vaccinations. Mireja's father, who was fully vaccinated for COVID this week. And for the joys of sunshine, of Ruth being able to attend an online concert. It is important to find beauty in these moments. For all these things and many more, which remain in our hearts and on our minds, let us hold our attention, our prayer for this moment. Blessed be, and amen. We now come to the time in our service where we encourage you to remember that this congregation, this group of people, is sustained by no others than ourselves. So if you would like to give, you may do so online. Office at firstuu-indianapa.org is our address for PayPal giving. You can also send an email there if you would like to explore direct giving through our ACH system, which lets you make direct deposits from your bank account, or if you'd like to make a check or other donation. Each month, a portion of our pledging goes to a local project and charitable giving so that we are connected not only to this congregation, but to the world which surrounds us, and giving back each week. It is January, and we are seeking recommendations for the organizations which you will be able to give to in the coming year. So look for that in your newsletter on Friday. There will be a link to a Google form where you can make recommendations for the coming year. Those who recommended last year got donations to their favorite organizations, as we had just about as many organization recommendations as we did months of the year. So you have good chances if you would like to give. So let us now take a moment to hear our offering music.
Blessed be the gifts, blessed be the gifts, the ones we give and those that you reveal. Help us use our gifts, our varied simple gifts, to show our
And our sermon today is Patty Holmes, and it is entitled, Was the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. a Secret UU? So let's find out.
Good morning again. Can you hear me?
We sure can.
Okay. Let me know if I'm too loud. Because of his opinions and actions on social justice and social equity issues, throughout his lifetime, one could actually believe that Dr. King was not a Baptist minister, but rather a UU minister. While Dr. King was attending college in Boston, he pretty regularly went to the Arlington Street UU Church, where the minister was Dr. Greenlee, with whom he worked later on. Unknown to him, his future bride, Coretta, also attended the same church. Once they met, they both continued to attend these services until after he graduated from college. Our 7 principles seem to draw him like a bee to honey, some of them even more so than others. For instance, he truly believed in the inherent worth and dignity of every person. And he showed that sentiment to the broken people that looked to him for help. He worked hard to help them believe in the nonviolent civil disobedience. That was his mantra. So they'd be ready to peacefully fight against racism and segregation. Justice, equity, and compassion in human relations was very important to his peaceful protest and search for justice for those who had been done in. A free and responsible search for truth and meaning, because he was always searching for the truth in all situations. And the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all, because he used peaceful, nonviolent protests in order to gain liberty and justice for all of the downtrodden. Dr. King fervently believed in his Christian upbringing, and it was a struggle for him to decide if he was going to stay with that or not. His Christian upbringing and cultural traditions made him know that the UU theology mainly rejects those Christian doctrines of the Trinity, because the Christians believe in the Trinity, while the UUs feel that God is only one person, most of them. Also, he knew that the UUs don't believe in an afterlife per se, so we try to create our kingdom of heaven here on earth instead of waiting until we die. But his Baptists, however, believe that God is a stern, albeit loving God, and that he would always stick by them throughout all of their suffering and beyond. Dr. King ultimately decided on the Bible and to conforming to the traditional Christian religion of his forebears. He felt that he should stay with his roots and that he should preach in the Baptist church. He knew his people would be more likely to follow his teachings if they felt that he was really a part of them and not some alien being who was outside of their sphere of life. He felt that if he went to the Baptist church and stayed there, that he would preach the real word as far as they knew, and not try to reach them without a Bible in his hands, rather that he would just speak theoretically, which they didn't really understand. Once Dr. King began preaching full time, he was wont to regularly integrate a lot of the liberal religion and education into his sermons and his speeches. And like the UUs, he was always searching for the truth. One problem he had
was his race, although most UUs disregarded that fact. Another problem was that the UU theology did not support the doom and gloom attitude of the Christian theology that he grew up with. You know, the fire and brimstone type of theology. Dr. King preached at the Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta. He tried to separate his people from the hatred they had for those that saw them as doing wrong and made them suffer, even though they might have been innocent. He also tried to pair people of different religions with those that were like-minded, because all religions were not full of hate. All religions had some kind of interest in their theology that all people have. Outside of his preaching, Dr. King worked to end segregation in all forms, whether it be in schools, jobs, housing, recreational facilities, restaurants, etc. Unfortunately, everything he worked and hoped for has still not come to fruition. But they're not as overt now as they were back when he was a little boy. So people really have to be careful to not get taken advantage of, but they have to keep that hope alive in their lives. By dint of his nonviolent protests, Dr. King was arrested numerous times, too many to even think about counting. There are many examples of his writings, especially from various jail cells, that are talked about today, that are also quotes that have been proved and have been around for more than 60 years. Dr. King didn't only believe in what the UU Church was saying, he also was involved with the other religions, like the Jewish religion. He loved Mahatma Gandhi, whose theology was really peacefulness. So he used a lot of what he learned from him in there too. People have been using excerpts from his speeches and his letters all these years. But I think the one that most people know, the one that most children can maybe always recite, is his "I Had a Dream" speech. Thank you. I'm done.
Thank you. And so it is. Our closing words come from the Reverend Mark Bellatini.
Go in peace. Live simply, gently, at home in yourself. Act justly. Speak justly. Remember the depth of your own compassion. Forget not your power in the days of your powerlessness. Do not desire to be wealthier than your peers. And stint not your hand of charity. Practice forbearance. Speak the truth or speak not. Take care of yourselves as bodies, for you are a good gift. Crave people for all people in the world, beginning with yourself. And go as you go with the dream of that peace alive in your heart. Go.
And our closing hymn is "We Shall Overcome." I really love the arrangement that we've found, and I'll let it speak for itself.
Hi, I'm Jordan Millar. I'm 13 years old, and I've been a part of the New York Philharmonic's Very Young Composers for 5 years. Earlier this year, I created an orchestral arrangement of the civil rights anthem We Shall Overcome for the Philharmonic's Young People's Concert on Music as a Change Agent. The arrangement was to be performed by the orchestra with everyone attending. Although the concert was canceled due to the global pandemic, the need for us to be united in song still remains. Through this arrangement, I hope to provide people with faith, knowing that despite the many recent events, better days are ahead. Although the song was written over 100 years ago, its message of resilience is still just as relevant today. The phrase, "we shall overcome," not only provides a sense of unity, but promises that together we can create change. Thank you for listening. Enjoy the performance, and please share with us how you are using your voice to change the world.
We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. We are not afraid. We are not afraid. We are not afraid today. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome
Black people need to overcome the idea that the same people that shut us out will be the ones to let us in. And those people, white America, I am looking at you and anyone else who brought into the narrative surrounding black people and the stereotypes. It is time for you to unlearn, to overcome every lie you were told, every lie you told, every microaggression you partake in by accident. You see, it is time for you to do the work, because posting a picture with the hashtag Black Lives Matter and asking me how I feel is no longer enough.
Truth shall set us free. Truth shall set us free. Truth shall set us free today. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome today.
And now, let us extinguish our chalice flame.
We extinguish our child's flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Blessed be.
And now, our benediction. Oh, you're gonna want to unmute yourself, Miss Patty. So sorry.
We've come to the end of the trail. So I would say to you, go now, travel lightly on this earth, and never use your passion for peace and social justice. And may your Unitarian Universalist principles guide you all in your daily living. Blessed be. Please join us if you can. Reverend Elizabeth will put you in some different breakout rooms.
Thank you. Yes, if you would like to stay for coffee hour and you are from the Ligonier congregation, please go ahead and put that in the chat at this time. If you are here for the breakout room for parents and caregivers with Penny Vick, also put that just right, parents or parent chat in our chat bar, and I'll make sure you get to the correct room. Thank you so much, Miss Patty, for a wonderful service.
Thank you.
It's a joy to share this time together.